Well, all right, here's my GMT 400. It's a 1995 GMC Suburban, and I recently replaced the intake manifold gaskets. You can see the blue section of gasket there, the Felpro. And after that job, I went to go start the truck just to make sure that I put everything back together correctly, and I did, and it started and ran just fine. But that was yesterday. And today I came in to top off the antifreeze, and I noticed I had a leak. Well, what kind of a leak? It's an antifreeze leak, of course. Take a wild guess where it was coming from. Right back here at the heater hose quick disconnect fitting. There's the port for it right there in the intake manifold. And here's the quick connect fitting that fits in that hole. This is an aftermarket one because I had to replace the original factory one. Oh no. Oh no. That sucks. It started leaking, and when I went to go remove it, of course it crumbled into pieces. I made a whole video on how to remove that. Well, if you look right down here, you can see these two heater hoses. The one on top there is the one we need to address. That's this one here. And you can see the end of that quick connect fitting, and that is just not a very watertight system. And quite frankly, I have no idea why it's a quick connect. What's the point of that? I don't know. Similarly, on the front of the engine, you can see the water pump here, and there's a hose coming out of there with a hose clamp on it. Well, if you look really close, under that blue colored Teflon tape, you can see a brass fitting. That is a barbed brass fitting. That's because coming out of the top of this water pump was also another quick connect fitting. And, well, it started to leak. So I decided to get rid of it and go for this barbed brass fitting, and the rest is history. It never leaked again. I really don't understand what the purpose of these is. The factory units were made from a really poor quality metal, which ends up crumbling the second you try to take it out. But nevertheless, even with the aftermarket one that's made of a much higher quality material, the system itself just doesn't seem to hold up. Even with that aluminum hose fully installed and those plastic clips properly seated, there's just a lot of play in there. And so what, we're supposed to rely on just a little rubber gasket in there? No, today's the day. I am going to be replacing this whole heater hose as well as this fitting. I'm going to do away with this stuff for good, get a standard heater hose and a standard brass barbed fitting. So I went to my local home hardware store and came up with this. On the left here, of course, is our original fitting. We have our quick connect fitting that screws into the intake manifold, and we have the aluminum pipe that goes into a normal heater hose. And my solution for replacement is this piece here. The thread pitch is exactly the same, but on the other end, we have a male barbed style fitting. That will allow this brand new heater hose I just bought to fit right over it. I'm also going to use this factory spring style clamp. And on the other end here, you can see the factory hose, and both of these hoses are the exact same size. And because it's the exact same size, it'll fit right on our factory fitting here perfectly. Now I won't ever have to worry about this fitting failing again. The only difference I do see here in terms of performance is the size of the bore inside. You can see this new fitting is a nice big opening all the way through, but the old fitting isn't. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to affect things. If it will affect things negatively, I won't know until I put it into use. But if it does affect anything negatively, I will report back. And the other thing I won't have to worry about with this factory hose is this fitting here failing at some point. Not to mention the possibility of needing to replace this entire hose. I can't imagine how much that would cost. I'll now have a brand new solid heater hose with no fittings to fail. All right, I've got a 24mm socket, which is gonna work, but I just want to show you, this is actually a 23mm fitting. So the 24 will work, but 23 is ideal. And there's the hole that I'm going to be putting this fitting in. It's going to be rather hard to film that, so I will show you once it's done. Here's what I'm starting with. I know there is some debate as to whether or not you should use PTFE tape. You know, I used it here on this fitting coming out of the top of the water pump. This was a long time ago, and I've had not one issue since. So because of that, I'm going to continue to use it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now this is going into aluminum, so I don't want to go too tight because aluminum, as you guys probably know, will crack. Okay, I might put one extra little quarter on there just for good measure. Nothing cracked, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fit on the new heater hose. I have my clamp already on it. And let's see. It's definitely going to be a trick trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to get that clamp down there. Maybe with the clamp down here, I'll be able to come at it this way. Man, that's gonna be tight. All right, well, I just got in there and did it, and everything worked out perfect. I have the clamp angled in such a way that I can get in there with a pair of channel locks and get that off if I need to in the future. Now I'm just gonna measure out the length of hose I need to attach to this original fitting right down here. I wanna leave enough slack to where this hose doesn't ever want to kink, but not enough to where it's touching this air conditioning stuff. I've made my mark here, cutting about a 1/4 inch past it just to be safe. And there's our final product. You can see we have a nice factory hose clamp on the factory metal tube there, going through this brand new heater hose, which then terminates right here into the intake manifold. So I think this is a perfect solution for those of us wanting to get rid of that quick connect fitting on these GM 350s, or any other motor that has those, I guess. So the only thing left to do is to give it a start. Of course, it's not warmed up yet, so we'll have to wait till everything warms up and that thermostat opens to really make sure that there are no leaks. So far, so good. The thermostat's about to open, and there it goes. The thermostat has now opened. Now I can go double check everything and make sure we have no leaks. All right, well, there you go. I am super stoked. I finally got rid of that terrible quick connect or quick disconnect. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. That fitting. I've been wanting to get rid of that one for a long time, ever since I replaced the factory one when it broke off in that intake manifold. I will link that video down below. But as for this project, it is done. No leaks. The truck's been running for a while. I have all the heaters running and nothing is leaking. So that is an awesome fix. It didn't cost very much money. I think that little fitting itself was maybe $9 or so. And the heater hose was like $2.50 a foot or something like that. So not a very expensive fix. And as it looks so far, it is rock solid. Yes, I can't believe it.